Hi guys, so I am going to make a quick video on COVID-19 as friends and family have been wanting to know what I know and what I'm doing about it. So number one, I think being prepared is important, but not panicking is even more important. I think a certain level of worry is acceptable in this situation, but I think it should lead people to being more careful and more aware. I think we need to focus on the most likely outcome and not the worst case scenario. My disclaimer is that I am not an infectious disease doctor. I am not an expert on the subject. I am an ordinary family doctor trying to keep up to date, and this is my 2 cents. As most healthcare workers are learning along with the general public about all of the information that's coming out, because this is a very, very new virus and we are all basically just learning on the job. Here are some of the things that I know to date, and this is current as of now. This may change though as we know more. I'm going to compare and contrast to influenza and SARS simply for context because we know a little bit more about those. So COVID-19 is the new coronavirus. It is a respiratory virus that causes cough, fever, sore throat, general aches and pains, and can lead to pneumonia, respiratory failure, and even death in some people. Influenza has all of the above symptoms, except that it also usually has runny nose and nasal congestion, which does not seem to be a prominent feature of COVID-19. So if you are having a runny nose, then most likely you have another virus, not COVID-19. And just a reminder, other viruses, other bacteria are still out and about and still doing their thing, even though the focus is all on COVID-19 at the moment because what is happening internationally. Some people with COVID-19 initially present with stomach symptoms, nausea, and diarrhea, so that's important to note. COVID-19 is more contagious than influenza, and each infected person can infect 2 to 3 additional people, which is a higher rate of transmission than influenza. In terms of prediction as to how the virus will behave and what the outcome will be, I think this is more in keeping with SARS than influenza. COVID-19 is more dangerous to the elderly and those who are immunocompromised and have underlying health conditions like congestive heart failure, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and other lung conditions. COVID-19 seems to affect children less versus influenza, which hits both extremes of ages, the young and the old. COVID-19 has a slower onset of symptoms, where people can have mild symptoms and may not even have a fever initially and then become more ill, versus influenza, which hits people like a truck usually within the first 1 to 4 days. The incubation period for COVID-19 is 14 days, though most show signs and symptoms within the first week. The virus spreads via saliva, just like influenza, and both COVID-19 and influenza are spread by large droplets and are not airborne. So droplet spread happens when an infected person coughs, sneezes, or talks, and the droplet containing the virus travels in the air and gets inhaled or ingested or enter another person's mucous membranes, so their mouth, their nose, and their eyes. Another important route of transmission is that those viral particles in the droplets can land on surfaces and live on surfaces like phones, keyboards, doors, counters. How long they can survive on the surface, we don't know exactly. Some estimates are saying between 48 hours to even up to a week, which is a very scary thought if you think about it. People who do not have symptoms but are infected can go on to infect other people without knowing it via the same droplet spread because they can shed the virus even though they don't have symptoms yet. So here is my action plan of 10 things that I will be doing. This plan may change as more data and information becomes available, but as of today, this is my plan. So number one, wash hands often with either soap, scrubbing for 20 seconds, or hand sanitizer. Like a million times a day, wash, wash, wash. Social distancing, avoiding large crowds and enclosed spaces like malls, restaurants, large social gatherings where I do not control who comes and who goes. I'm doing online groceries and online shopping for the most part. Trying to keep a 6-foot radius around myself and around my kids as much as possible. So air high fives, air hugs. Disinfect surfaces often. Carry hand sanitizer and disinfecting wipes and wipe down everything. Avoid directly touching common public surfaces like bank machines, elevator buttons, and doorknobs. So use your sleeve, your elbow, or at most 1 or 2 fingertips. Learn not to touch your face, your nose, your mouth, your eyes. Keep your hands away from your face. When I come home from work, I wash my hands, wash my face, change my clothes before I hug my children. Avoiding meeting the elderly and talking to them on the phone and FaceTime is a good idea. Trying to keep informed by reading credible, and I emphasize credible, sources of information like the CDC, World Health Organization, York Region Public Health for the latest updates. We are not going anywhere on March break. We're going to stay home, read books, watch Netflix, play board games, and when we are getting stir crazy, we will likely go out into nature for maybe a hike and get some fresh air that way and avoid places with lots of people. All right, so that's it. I hope that's helpful. Feel free to message me, and I hope everybody stays healthy and safe. Bye for now.